Samoff. I'm the president of the Jackson County, Michigan Historical Society. Today I'm here at the Michigan Theater of Jackson with Mr. Ron McCoy, and he is going to give us a tour of the whole facility.
Okay, yeah, I'm Ron McCoy, and I work here as a volunteer at the Michigan Theater, and I work on different types of equipment and fixing things up and trying to work on different aspects of the building, like the walls. Sometimes I paint certain areas of the theater, the walls. Sometimes I've painted the stairway, some of the stair treads and all that on the stairwells, I guess you'd call them, and different aspects of the building and all that kind of thing.
Well, great. Well, let's get started on this behind-the-scenes tour of the Michigan Theater.
All right, we're in front of the Michigan Theater here, and the entryway doors are underneath of the marquee across the street there. That's the little roof structure that covers it, and it says Michigan on the top of that marquee. Underneath of that are the entryway doors to the Michigan Theater, and that takes you into the theater and to the box office area in there. Above the marquee is the blade sign, which says Michigan from the top down. And then above that, at the top of the blade sign and behind it up on the roof, is the cupola up there, and it looks like a little tower. And it's a little room up on top there that you can actually walk into and look around up there and see what that looks like. Okay, so now we'll cross the street and we'll go into the entryway door. All right, we're in front of the Michigan Theater again. Now we just crossed the street. We're going to enter through the entryway, and we're going to see different aspects of the entry of the theater and the vestibule and all that kind of thing. And we're coming into the vestibule, and you can see the ceiling here. It's like painted red, and there's little chandeliers up there. And we'll come into the main part of the lobby here, where we can see off to our right is the box office. And up here above these, the box office, are some of these little cherubs that they have all along here. There's 10 of them on each side of the building, each side of the walls here of the entry lobby. And here's the flame. It's all over the place here. It's like a motif, part of the motif of the theater, the flaming torch. It's kind of like a golden color. We can take you over and have you take a look at some of the inside of the box office here. It's kind of interesting. I'll flip the light on here so you can see inside here. Yeah. Some of these little chandeliers they have here, and there's more of these little cherubs up on the edge of the wall there. And let's see, we'll come into the the second lobby that you come through these setup doors. Off to the left is your snack bar area, your concessions and everything that they'll have when they're reopened here. We're shooting this right now during the COVID epidemic thing that we got going. Over here we got a little part of the old intercom system right here. These little bells used to ring, you know, and you could answer the intercom, you know, and talk into it, talk into the wall there, this wall speaker, and listen through the little earpiece that you'd hold on to up against your ear. And here next to this we got a little statue here. It's some kind of a nature goddess that's harvesting fruit, and it's got some of these grapes there, and grapes in the other basket too, as well as an apple or two. And let's see, we can walk along here and see some of the different things. We'll show you some of the lights here. There's the light board right here on the on your left, and over there down that counter is the soundboard down in that direction, and they've got these different screens that display different aspects of the sound system and the videos that can be shown on the screen. And as we come along here, we can see these. Here's one of these square plaques right beside this large light, and off to your left. And then around these plaques, the air comes around the edges of it and kind of squirts out and is blown out through those cracks, and it comes down onto the audience, and it will heat them up, and keep them warm and comfortable during the winter. And in the summer, it will squirt air-conditioned air out through the these plaques here. That one's square, and over here on the right side is one that's round, and there's a lot of those round ones up on the underside of the balcony. I call it the belly of the balcony. And we're the first air-conditioned building in Jackson, so we're the very first to have air conditioning. Now we'll walk down here, and I'll show you some things about the theater's lighting and the organ chamber down here, the organ was never installed because they started construction on this building in 1928. In 1929, the stock market crashed and the Great Depression started. So the guy that was having this built, the owner of this building at that time, his name was Walter Butterfield, or Colonel Butterfield. He cut out the organ so it wasn't ever installed, but it was going to be installed in this little alcove area this wall would not have been there, and the organ keyboard would be mounted in there, and the organist would have been sitting behind the organ keyboards, these ranks of keys that was going to be on the organ. And up above the organ chamber, where the organ itself was, are the organ pipe chamber, where the organ pipes were going to be up there. These organs are blown with a compressor that's usually put in the basement of a theater, and they blow them, and they blow the air into the organ, and it goes up to the pipes depending on which key is being pressed by the organist, and the sound from the organ pipes will come out and emanate into the theater from the organ chamber here on both sides of the theater. This is the one on the right side of the theater, which is off of stage left. Now here's a rack of lights that are aimed down towards the stage, and that lights up the stage when you've got a stage show on up on stage. It could be rock and roll, or it could be a play, or whatever's up on stage that's going on. Now over here, let's see, in front of the balcony, on the front edge of the balcony, is this box, and it's full of lights. These light chambers are up there, and those lights shine down onto the stage too to give a lot of extra lighting onto the stage. So there's a lot of different types of lights that are being shot down onto the stage itself. And let's see, over here, this is a light array which we put in a few years ago, and the way they're put on, first you've got to hang a chain from up in the ceiling, and then we hooked there's like a winch that hooks onto a log chain that's up in the attic area of above the ceiling, and then this chain comes down, and it can be raised or lowered with it has a motor on that winch that can raise and lower. This entire light array can be raised and lowered. And the way we built that is first we hang the rack up on top, which is hung onto the chain, and then the first speaker underneath that rack is hung on with pins, and they can be positioned at different angles as you go down the chain of speakers with these pins that have positioning holes on the bottoms of the speakers and the tops of the speakers. And with these pins, you can make it you can alter the amount of curve that is in this array of lights, or not lights, but speakers, so that it will shoot the sound up. Some of it will be shot up onto the stage, and some of it will be shot down onto the main floor of the theater. And let's see, up on the stage there right now, you can see this little thing that's on these three legs. That's called the ghost light. That thing is burning all the time, day and night. That light there, for safety purposes, so people don't trip on the stairs that are right there or fall off the edge of the stage, because that's happened to people, actors and things, if it's not properly lit. And now way up above the up in the ceiling there, we have these light domes up there when it's lit up, and they're pretty fantastic. The lights are around the rim of those domes, And the lattice work there is where the air will come through. Some of the air will come through there that's heated when it's heating the theater, and in the summer when it's cooling the theater, it will be blowing air out through the lattice work, and the cool air will be blown down onto the audience to keep them cool. And like I say, this is the first air-conditioned building in Jackson. So. All right, this is the center stage area of the theater here, and we're looking out towards the audience, and this is the view that a star would have when they're up here on stage looking at the audience, because this would be the view that Vincent Price had of this theater when he was here back in about 1962, I think it was, when my mother saw him here at the theater. He was talking about art, because he's a big art collector and real heavy into artwork, paintings and things like that. So that's the view of the balcony above and the ceiling above that, and then below the balcony is the ground floor level of the theater itself, where all the audience would be seated. Sometimes they get crazy and they'll stand up in the area in front of the front row of seats and do dancing, and kind of like a mosh pit sometimes with some of these rock concerts and things. This area in the front right here is actually part of the stage right now, but it used to be all opened up to the all the way up to the ceiling. It was just the orchestra could stand down there and see right on up to the ceiling. But yeah, this is we used to have footlights in the front, along the front edge of this whole stage, and we took those out a few years ago. They were getting full of dust, and we were becoming kind of a potential fire hazard, so we wanted to eliminate that fire hazard. I didn't really like the idea, but all those lights were lit down there, and we've still got those lights in the theater. I've saved them, so we've still got them, but that whole front area was like a trench, and the lights were down there, and they would shine up towards the the people that are performing up near the edge of the footlights themselves, and they're all different colors. They're like red, blue, and all that kind of thing. Okay, now we'll walk over to the fly system, which is a pretty interesting and important part of the theater. See these ropes over here? These ropes are part of the system for raising and lowering certain curtains and certain light arrays that are above the stage, and also it'll raise and lower the screen, the movie screen. Right here's the rope right here. It will raise and lower the movie screen. Right now it's up in the up position, which is called the fly position, and you can see it up there. It's right up in there. You're looking at the edge of it, of the screen, right there. So that's kind of interesting. I'll show you some of these counterweights. Here's a stack of the counterweights that are counterweighting certain things like the screen and other things that are in the fly system. And here's one of these counterweights. This is one of the very light ones right here. And they go right onto these arrays, something like this. See, that's how they go on there, like that. And there are much heavier ones here, as you can see. Some of them are real heavy. They weigh about maybe 15, 20 pounds. And there's a stack of them until you get them up to the right amount to do a perfect balance on whatever's on the stage side of what's being raised and lowered, so you can get them just about in balance. So it's very easy to move the battens and whatever's attached to the battens over there on the stage area, above the stage area, so you could easily move them up and down without too much physical effort. Lean down so you can see how the fly system works here, so we can see what, let's see here. See, it's almost in perfect balance. And right now, as you can see the screen up there, it's being brought down as I pull on the ropes. It's like pulleys on up above there that drive the whole mechanism of the fly system, and it brings the whatever's on the stage side down. Here's the movie screen as it comes down, you see. And when you bring it down, you want to do it real slowly and carefully, so you don't damage anything or break any springs. That's the movie screen right there. You can walk up in front of that. The movie screen itself, now when you get up close to it, you can see there's a bunch of little holes in it. And that's so that when, if certain setups on these movie theaters will have the stacks of speakers behind the screen. And that way the sound sounds like it's coming right from the picture, the motion picture that you're seeing on the screen. And sound will come right through those little holes and emanate out through the screen and be projected out into the audience so that you can hear it, you know, as it's, if it's a big train, you know, chuffing away and all that, you can hear that sound and it sounds like it's coming right from the steam engine if it's something like that. So that's how that works. This is the trap door for the theater. It's over here on stage left. They could bring their luggage over from the train station over there, which is just a couple blocks over, and they could bring them over on these two-wheel carts, and they would take it and they would offload their luggage, you know, their suitcases and things, and they would be able to put them on a strap. It would be laid out beside this thing, this trap door, and then they would wrap up the straps around their luggage, you know, a stack of their luggage, and they had these sewn in rings on the ends of the straps, and then you would bring down a cable, which was on a winch from way up on the gridiron above us, and that would have on the end of the cable would have a hook, and they hooked that hook on the two ends of the strap there with rings that were sewn into them, and they could lift up a stack of that luggage, and then they could they'd be able to take them upstairs through the these trap doors that are in the wall up here above the stage, because there are 3 dressing rooms above the stage there, and they would open up the door on that thing, and they'd be able to pull it in through the luggage through the open door there, and then lower it down onto the floor up there beside each of the dressing rooms upstairs. Now, to get the trap door off of this, what you had to do is open up take these plates off. There's a plate there and a plate there. They're screwed down. Take the plate off. There's a little D-ring in there, and you swing those D-rings up. You would take a chain that would have a hook on each end of it. Hook one end of that chain into one of the D-rings, the other end of the chain into the other D-ring with a hook on the end of the chain, and then you'd take the center link of that chain and you'd take the hook from that cable that comes down from the gridiron way up above, hook it onto the center link, and you could have it lift up. This entire trap door would lift up and off of there, and then we would set it down behind or beside the hole itself and lower that trap door and have it out of the way. Now it's kind of dangerous when that's opened up because it's open right down to the basement. But they'd be able to lift a stack of that luggage up off of the floor here, swing it over there because the cable would be centered on this trap door's opening, and they could lower the luggage down into the basement where there's several dressing rooms down in the basement. So that's how that worked, the luggage trap. These are the power pockets to power stage equipment. You just lift this up, and underneath this trap door here is some of the plugs that are, some of them are stage plugs over here on that side, and then over here are the regular Edison type plugs, and you can power your equipment, you know, your stage equipment through those power pockets. They're all over the sides of the stage and the back of the stage. There's a bunch of them. All right, there's the one of these small trap doors that allow the luggage to be brought in on a cable and brought in and then lowered down, you know, on that cable that was had a winch hooked to it up above, and then you can deliver the luggage up here to one of the dressing rooms. This is dressing room 5, which is the first dressing room that's above the stage. We have other stage dressing rooms that are below the stage too, that are underneath in the basement. So that's how that works. Kind of like a trap door in the, it's like a small door in the side of the wall. All right, here's dressing room 5 up here, just above the stage. It's one flight above the stage, one story up. And we got all these lit up lights that are on top of these mirrors so that the actors and actresses can make their faces up and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of, here's over here is one of the this is one of the costume racks, you know, for they put them on hangers, you know, all their costumes and stuff, and they're really sturdy because if they get a lot of these costumes up here, they get kind of heavy, so that they're heavily built so that, you know, they're not going to just fall off the wall. Yeah, we put in a full-length mirror here back when John Gittinger was here. We worked on that. Worked on the windows over here too. Put in screens over here on this lower dressing room anyway. Okay. We're coming on to the stage loft, way above the stage. And there's a ladder that goes up onto the gridiron, and which is way up above us here, about 20 feet above us right now. He's looking down at the stage, from the stage loft over the handrail. You can see a couple of the small screens there, and then there's the large screen. It's in the raised or flown position right now. Here's a big red curtain it's got here. All this stuff is hung on a batten. Here's one of these battens right here. You can see it's like a pipe. See there? Now, hung from that one right there is a black curtain. It's about 6 feet wide, 7 feet wide, and it's that's called a tormentor curtain that they have along the sides of a lot of stages, you know, all over the world, really. And we have different curtains and things. Now, up above is the gridiron. You can get up on top of that, and you can walk on that thing. And when you're walking up there, you can see the right through your feet, you know, down to the stage, which is about 50 feet below you, you know. So it's kind of spooky at first until you get used to walking on that steel up there. You got to watch where you're walking so you don't step through the slots in the their channel lock is what it is. Pieces of channel lock with a flat part is on the up side, so it's like a floor when you're walking on it. And that's where a lot of the pulleys are mounted, and then the cables come down through the slots, and then they attach to these things called battens, which are really pipes. So I just tapped on a little while ago with this flashlight that I've got, and that kind of shows you how another part of the fly system. Here is a long horizontal curtain, which is called, it's like a banner curtain, which is called a teaser curtain. So there's teaser curtains and there's tormentor curtains. And that's what that looks like. The tormentor curtains are these black ones right here. In this case, they're black. They could be different colors, I guess. And they're long, and they're not horizontal, but they're vertical. So they're like go up and down, you know. Here in the back of this is a big black curtain we've got right here. And it's blacks out the back of the brick wall of the back of the stage, which is, you know, all the way up stage, as they call it. Okay, this was the room where they used to have the central vacuum system. It was like a big barrel-like thing. It was hooked up to some of these pipes that are in here. And all over the theater, they had these things like this that they could open up and put a vacuum hose in there and suck up the popcorn and the dust and all that, sand and everything else, you know, off the floor. And here's one of these old fire valves. It's an old globe valve that I've saved. You can see inside there where the gate of the valve will close down like that. And when you open it up, it would open it up and allow water to go through there and feed the hose. And we got a hose over there on the other side of the wall there in that big mirror. And this is the central hallway down in the basement here underneath the stage. And that's a mirror that we restored. And it used to have a lot of like gray and black spots all over it, which were aluminum oxide from the reflective material that's put on the back of the glass that makes a plate of glass into a mirror. So what we did is we scraped all that off the back, and this has a really nice beveled edge on it. And then we took another mirror and once we got the back side of that all cleaned up, we took a clean mirror the same size as this plate of glass is, which used to be a mirror, put that mirror behind it, and we sandwiched it together with this frame, and now it's on the wall, and it looks like it's one mirror, but it's actually a plate of glass on the front of another plate of glass that is a mirror. Now over here is the orchestra dressing room, like it says here. And the orchestra used to be in here, and they used to get tuned up down here with their instruments and everything. And they would straighten out their little ties or bow ties or whatever they happen to have. And they have all this for costuming. This is one of the dressing rooms, this orchestra dressing room. So it has these heavy racks again for hanging costumes on it. And over here we'll show you where they could, the orchestra could walk out onto the into the orchestra pit, which is at the front of the stage. And now it's not an orchestra pit at all because it's all built over the top of it with a like a floor. And that shows you how the floor is. It's like an extension or a lower section of the forestage, which is in front of the main stage, and it's much lower. It's about 3 feet below the main stage. So it's the orchestra pit's kind of right now hidden underneath of that forestage, you know. Okay, we come over here from this main hallway. Here's a couple of toilets right here we've got in the basement. We have rock concerts here. The rock bands will be down here a lot of the times, or you know, and they've got these just dressing rooms down here. We've got all these you know, these types of lights so they can make themselves up. If it's Kiss or somebody like that, if we could only get them, they'd make themselves up in one of these dressing rooms probably, either downstairs or upstairs, you know. But they have all the kind of things that they need to, as an actor, you know, get ready. Here's the boiler room. There's a workbench there that's steel, and over here we got a couple tables that are pretty large. Here's the boiler right here. This is the thing that they brought down through the larger trap door over there through the tool room over there. And they had it all chained up to a boom to get it down from the street level, down through the stage, into the tool room, and then they rolled it from there on around and through here. And they had the chains were looped through these holes, one on each of the four corners on the high side of the boiler, so that they could have it, you know, held by chain. And over here is the this is the old tool room. We use it for lumber now mostly. You know, a lot of lumber and stuff. Kind of messy. I was telling you about the winch that lifted the trap door off of the stage, and also lifted the luggage that would take it either upstairs to the upper dressing rooms or downstairs through the floor once that luggage trap is removed, trap door. And there's that old winch right there. It doesn't work anymore. We're afraid to hook it up because of the insulation on the wiring is all crumbling, you know, so it'd probably get somebody electrocuted if we used it now, because it's, you know, that would be 90 years ago when they installed that one. We're about 90 years old now, this theater is. And let's see, oh, here's some of the pulleys. I'll show you some of the pulleys over here that allow that or that fly system to work. You know, with the cables. If I can get it off of here. Here's one of these pulleys. And you can see in here there's a pulley in there. It's a wheel. You know, like that, and the cables go across that, and these things are mounted up onto the gridiron up there above, which we saw earlier in the video. It's kind of like a housing for a wheel, and it's just a pulley wheel inside there that spins. You can see how that spins, you know, when the cable goes over it. Yeah, trench at the front edge of the stage. So they took up about 2 feet wide trench at the front of the stage, so it kind of, we took them out because of the fire hazard. They were getting full of dust and everything when we cleaned the theater, when we were cleaning up the popcorn with leaf blowers that we blow it all down towards the front of the stage. And all that dust would come rolling up in there, and it would accumulate in the front of the at the front of the stage in that trench around the lights. And when we took them out of there, we were using those incandescent bulbs still, which were pretty hot. Whereas nowadays we're using these LED bulbs, which are a lot cooler. They don't use up so much energy and just convert it straight into useless heat. You know, these things put out a lot better light. You know, it converts more of the energy to light and less to heat, so it's higher efficiency. Now we can go down into the tunnels. These are ventilation tunnels, so we can see what's down in here a little bit. It's spooky. Back in there, you can see there's a fan. The blades of the fan are back there, whirling around. See there? We won't go back there because we don't want to get too close to them. It'll turn you into instant hamburger. No, that wouldn't be good. We don't want to go that way. But we can go down this other side, take a look down at some of these tunnels and how they go down down, and they feed the air over to the ductwork, which goes out kind of like a big spider in all directions, you know, with large ducts going here and there, taking the air all over the place. You know, up that one there takes a turn and goes straight up through a huge duct up there that takes it up into the main attic, way up above the upper ceiling. That feeds it through that main one, and it then this one off to the right, where it splits off to the right, that takes it also up into another duct, or it's a vertical tunnel that takes it upwards into the balcony, the belly of the balcony, which is like a big wedge-shaped hollow area or void. And inside that they have these ducts, and they go out to these plaques and everything, and the plaques will feed the air out around the edges of them, and it will feed it down onto the audience, you know, either the cool or the heated air, depending on whether it's your summer or whether it's winter. In the winter it's heating, in the summer, of course, it's cooling. This is an air-conditioned building. It's been the first air-conditioned building in Jackson. Get some lights on here. All right, it's a little wet and soggy down here in this room here. Sometimes. Right now it's fairly dry. When we get a lot of rain, it gets water down in here. Oh, now here's one of these. This thing here is like a two-wheel cart. It looks exactly like that cart that's in one of the Harry Potter films, when they stack their luggage on it and they go right through a wall, a brick wall. Of course, in the Harry Potter movie, that's all magical, but it looked just like this. This is some kind of a railroad piece of equipment for moving cargo, you know, that's being loaded onto a train, whether it's luggage or whatever, onto a train. So you can see how heavy those wheels are. I mean, they just don't ever wear out. Not like this stuff they make nowadays. Oh, over here is another one of these intercoms. Part of an intercom. And when that thing would ring, it would ring something like a telephone. And there's a little double-headed hammer in there, behind this little housing right there. And right here there used to be a little horn that you would talk into, and hanging on this switch hook would be the little earpiece you'd pull off there and put it to your ear, and you could listen through that part and talk into the center part of it. And they had these different buttons which would connect to different parts of the theater, like the stage, it says, ticket office, boiler room, picture booth, manager, foyer, different things. There's 4 different things there that it tells about. and that thing would ring just like one of these old types of alarm clocks with a double-headed hammer that goes. Same thing, just like it. This thing used to ring, it wake you up, and it would ring and make you wake up. Now we'll go down here and see the circulating fan. Okay, let's see. All right. Yeah. There's the circulating fan right there. See that bearing? It goes round and around. That blows it out down that tunnel, and it splits it off into the different air delivery ducts that take it all over the place. Now, over here, this is a heat exchanger. In the winter, these things are radiating heat. The steam is blown into these heat exchangers, which are radiating heat just like a radiator on a truck. It comes through these fins, the air coming from the other side, which has filters on the other side. And that heats up this heating unit, and it sucks it into that fan. That's the suction side of the fan. So it sucks that hot air through there, it heats the air up, and then it delivers it out to the theater itself through the ducting system. Oh, I'm getting wound up. Okay, yeah. All right, here's the return air tunnels right here and there. Yeah, the return air tunnels, the air is coming through registers that are in the floor, and they look just like drains, but they're actually return air tunnels. I mean, it's a return air vent that takes the air down into the return air tunnel, so it brings it back and around, and through the filters, the air filters, and then it feeds it in through the heat exchanger, and it heats it up in the winter. And of course, all that thing works in the opposite way when we are cooling. We take water out of a well that we have over here, and we pour it through the pump it through the heat exchangers, and then it's all working in reverse. The overheated air that is too hot for the people blows through the heat exchangers, and that cold air inside of those heat exchangers pulls the temperature down. It picks up some of the heat into that cold water, and it's just flushed down the drain really here, and that cools the air down as it goes through there. It's kind of hot when it goes in there, and it cools it down with that cold water inside of it, and then that cooled air is air conditioned, and it goes out through the I call them wind tunnels or air tunnels, and it feeds it out to the theater through the ducting system, like the heating system does. Here's these louvers that allow it to come through the return air tunnel and into the filter room. We're in the filter room right now, and over here are the air filters. The air goes through those filters, and it takes the dust out of the air filters. Yeah. Let's see, we can go back over here. I'll show you something. This is the well room, and it sucks water out of the ground. It's I think it's a 275-foot deep well, and pulls that water up out of there, and it goes through this pipe here, up through there, and it goes on over to the to those heat exchangers for cooling. We turn this on in the summer when it gets hot to cool the theater down with that well water we pull out of the ground. And like I say, this is the first air-conditioned building in Jackson. That's the ladies' lounge there to our left. Second floor, Grand Promenade. Up here we got Laurel and Hardy statues to our right, north side of this hallway. Off to the left is the, this is what's called the usher's room. Right now we just use it to sell more things, you know, like popcorn, booze, stuff like that. Here is the men's lounge, right in there. Took me about a week to paint that ceiling with all that rough kind of, I think they call it antiquing type of plaster. That's one thing they call it. Every little ridge in there scrapes the paint off of your paintbrush, and then it tends to drip down the ridge and onto your head. Look at the front edge of the balcony. We'll see some of the spotlights up there in the light box on the front edge of the balcony, and it's for lighting up the stage. Now here we can take a look at the inside of some of these light boxes to see the light that's inside of them. There's 6 different bays, I think it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, light bays that you can put these spotlights into. Yeah. And they shoot the light down onto the stage to illuminate the stage, because these stages need a lot of light. Okay, here's we're up in the projection room right now, or projection booth. It's really more like a room. Here are the here's the follow light that can be shot down through a panel that can be opened up in the wall over there. Slides up like a guillotine blade, and I got it turned on right now. The light is shining down on the floor right now. I'll shine it over onto one of the projectors. Now I'll black it out with this black lever. That blacks it out. Now I'll turn it red with a red lever. Turns red. We can turn it blue. We can turn it green. And there's yellow too there. If you want to see inside here, you can see how this thing works. This follow light. Here's the black out, which is a solid metal, sheet metal disc, which blacks out the screen, or the light. Here's the red one. And there's a blue one, and it's right on down the line. Different projector. And that came from the Bel Air Driving gave that to us when they shut down. They gave it that to us. And over here's the platter system, which would, if you cut what you'd have to do to put a long film onto through the film projector is you'd have to take several reels and you could splice them together into a real long disc of film. You could do like a 4-hour film. And put it, it would play it out over to the gate of the projector over there through that pulley up there, up on the above the gate, and it would turn the film down into the gate. It would take it down in there, and it would start chattering away, and it would shine that light down through there and shoot the view of the film down there. You could have like a long film like Lawrence of Arabia, all cut, and it would be all spliced and taped up there, and it would feed it out through there, and it would come out down through the bottom. It would come through all these different pulleys, and we got a bunch of pulleys all over the place around here, and then it would feed it back over onto the second lower disc, which is another one of these platters that would reel it up onto that. And then before you showed it again, you know, a long film like a 4-hour film like Lawrence of Arabia, you would have to rewind it, you know, back up on there by putting it through one of these pulleys and then rewind it back onto the top pulley, or the top platter rather, and get it ready for the next showing, you know, exhibition of it. A long film like that, they'd usually just show it like once a day. Now over here is the other, this is the hard drive. It will take digital. It's a digital projector is what this is. And it will take regular CDs, or it will take Blu-ray CDs, or it will take this other system over here. which is another hard drive system, and it has both sound and everything right on this thing here. And you plug it right into this slot right here in this receiver device, kind of like a VCR, but it's heavier than a VCR. It's all metal and everything. It's got the high quality digital film on there, and it will feed through there, and it'll feed through this cable here, and it'll go right down through into the digital projector, and it will shoot it out through the lens, you know, of the projector itself down and onto the screen. Now, over here you can see there's a monitoring window right there where you can watch what's on the screen, and down below that is where the is another window, which is where the lens of the projector shoots it down through that window and down and onto the screen, the motion picture. And it's a beam that you see when you see those projectors projecting the film down onto the screen through this beam. You know, it's like a real bright beam, kind of like a spotlight. Over here on the walls, we got some of these old reels. They were for film. And there's one of them, and then there's one over the door here. It's a reel. These old reels, I hung them up there just just for looks. We don't really show film here anymore, but the Detroit Film Theater sometimes does. But they've got their own digital system too. So usually they're shooting digital film, you know, through digital. They're not using film, but sometimes they do go pure, you know, as purists, and because of the name of their theater being the digital, or the Detroit Film Theater, they still can show film. But when we were showing film here, I remember the last few times, the old films, they weren't making more film. They weren't exposing more film and sending them out to show their movies. And so we were using the like Casablanca, stuff like that, the old films, and they'd put them on the projector, one of these film projectors like that one over there, and a lot of times, you know, it would break, and then the projectionist has got to go ahead and get both ends of the film, turn the whole thing off. It shuts everything down. The audience goes crazy, and they got to thread it back through the projector, and then they got to tape it together, you know, splice the film back together. Sometimes you have to trim it because where the break will be jagged, and they'll have problems with that, and they have to what they call splice it, and they just use splicing tape, you know, to put the film back together. And they still do that, like at sometimes they show film at the Redford Theater there in Detroit, but they've got their digital system too. But this one here is a film projector. We can still project it if we want to, but it's a lot cheaper to do it digital nowadays, so we just do it that way. It's simpler, easier, all that kind of thing. Over here is this thing is a splicing table. Right here, they could splice on this table. We had another one too, which is still being used down there. Here on the wall beside the projection room is here's some kind of a decoration. It looks like a lute, one of those ancient Roman type lutes molded into the wall. And then here's like an urn over there, and then I think there's another lute there. And then take a look at that light. That light is kind of nice, that sconce with all that cut glass there and all the different colored glass segments of it.
Ask you, what is your favorite thing about the Michigan Theater?
Okay, my favorite thing is the ceiling light domes that are up there.
Mm-hmm.
They're all lattice worked up there, and they illuminate, you know. And I fell in love with that when I was a kid, you know, that part of the ceiling of the theater. And it's just, I still am fascinated by that. It's one of the most beautiful parts about it. And of course, that's Maurice Finkel is the architect of this theater. And so I'm sure he came up with that design of that ceiling.
All right, well, thank you, Ron, for that tour. Really appreciate getting everyone that chance to see the behind the scenes of the Michigan Theater.
Sure.
I think that's something everyone can really enjoy.
Sure, I hope so.
And if you ever want a tour of the Michigan Theater, feel free to contact Ron, the man behind the curtain.